Greetings again. I think we've got more people tonight than we've had in a while. Let me count so I can tell the people here. 7, 8, 15? Is that right, Jeff? Did you count? Yeah, awesome. So we've got 15 here and we have 32 in the box. So we're getting up there. Pretty nice. I see some faces I've not seen in a while. Good to see you. Hope everyone feels healthy and happy. Thank you, Wayne, for that big Wayne smile. Really nice to see everyone. This is the third in our series on the Brahma Viharas, the divine abodes. We started on April 6th with an introduction and overview. Then we covered loving kindness, metta. Last week was compassion, karuna. So tonight we move to the third of the 4 Brahma Viharas, mudita, which is the Pali word that is most often translated as sympathetic joy. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. The root of the Pali word, mudita, means to be pleased, to have a sense of gladness. And the simple message seems to be that we should be happy for the happiness of others. Their happiness should also make us happy. Simple enough? We're good. Let's ring the bell. There may be times when that is true, but there are also times when sympathetic joy is harder than others. Much harder. Why? Because of deep assumptions that in many cases we learn from a very early age. In her book, Loving Kindness, The Revolutionary Art of Happiness, and there are 4 great chapters in this book on each of the divine abodes. Just highly recommend it, whether you do it this way or on Kindle. But Sharon Salzberg writes, so much of our unhappy condition as living beings comes from constricting effect of our negativity toward each other. We limit ourselves and we limit others. We judge each other, compare ourselves to each other, demean and envy each other, and we ourselves suffer the strangling effects of these limitations. Because there are so many constricting mind states therein, are impediments to mudita, sympathetic joy is considered the most difficult of all the Brahma Viharas to develop. But so potent is this quality that expressing it can defeat the aversions and attachments that bind us. Typically in our society, the dominant use of the word sympathy is at the time of loss. We express our sympathies, which under those circumstances are certainly defined as feelings of pity or sorrow for someone else's misfortune. And the word condolences can also be used and is also used in this manner. But the definition of the word goes deeper than that. And this deeper meaning brings a greater understanding of why these 2 seemingly contradictory words are used together in the Brahma Viharas. Think of sympathy as an understanding between people, a common feeling, support in the form of shared feelings or opinions, relating just in a harmonious way. It's sort of saying, like, to the best of my ability, I'm sharing in a deep way what you're experiencing. So the expression of sympathetic joy invites us into deep, sincere feelings of joy and happiness of others. But like metta, loving kindness, these feelings have to start with a look at ourselves and our mind states where we may have the potential to get stuck. These mind states, and I'll be going over these individually, include judgment. Nobody does that, so we can skip that. Comparing, discriminating, demeaning, and envy. All these can go on inside of us. Some perhaps started in childhood, But meditation and mindfulness can help us begin to understand how cultivating sympathetic joy can perhaps free us from some of these. So let's take a look. Let's start with judgment. To be non-judgmental means to have the flexibility of mind and the overall ability to let go of our attachment of what seems right to us. However, this can be difficult due to our easy to access insistence that other people's lives would be better off if they simply listened to what we had to say and did what we told them to do, because let's face it, we know a lot about a lot of stuff. All kidding aside, isn't it just so easy to be judgmental? We make judgments about restaurants. You don't want to go there. Oh my gosh, you don't want to go there. Woo! Neighborhoods, towns, schools, colleges and universities, medical providers, hospitals, cars, grocery stores, places to go on vacation, places you should have stayed if you went there and you didn't stay there. I told you to stay there. And usually the judgments are based on our experiences. This is easy and at times natural. But sympathetic joy, on the other hand, realizes that people may possibly find happiness in things that would not bring us much happiness personally. It may not mean we're delighted, but we learn to let people be who they are, go where they want to go, and do what they want to do without imposing our standards. Let's talk about comparing. It's another powerful mental affliction. Somebody says, well, Larry, how was your day? I'm like, well, compared to what? Let's think about some ways we use comparisons. Looks, wealth, health, strength, intellectual and cognitive ability, vocation, size of house, type of car. You may be thinking of some others because there seems to be no end to the possibilities of comparison. Yet at the bottom line of the comparing mind is competition. Who wins? Who's better? Or even more so, who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time? Who's the best? Sharon Salzberg, again in the book, quotes the Buddha as saying, in a battle, winners and losers both lose. Think of that. In a battle, winners and losers both lose. The defeated lose power, freedom, property, family, and sometimes they lose their lives. But the winners of the battle find themselves left with the hatred, fear, and envy of those who have been overcome. And the cycle of revenge, it's just a matter of time until the wheel turns and those who have been winners become losers. So in the practice of sympathetic joy, rather than looking at others in order to define ourselves, we operate from the premise that we do indeed deserve to be happy as we are right now. So let's talk a little bit about discrimination, prejudice. When we send metta, we usually conclude with something like, may you be peaceful and happy. But have you ever had to pause or even back up and retreat when you come to a quote, unquote, difficult person that you aren't ready to say those words to right now? Race, religion, sexual orientation, geographic residence, political affiliation, perceptions based on information from media, all those contribute to what's going on inside of us. And let's face it, we live with a lot of our perceptions. But sympathetic joy asks us to rejoice in the happiness and well-being of others, whether we think we like them or not. And for those of you who've been school teachers or are school teachers, please don't even think about giving me an A in this area. So I have a long way to go. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow reminds us to not forget that there are two sides to every person's experiences. He wrote, "If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each man's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility." What he's saying, that even those with whom we may have difficulty are continually vulnerable to pain. In our compassion training at the hospice where I work, we have an exercise that I'd like to share a modification of. And in order to do this, I want to invite you to get back into a posture of meditation. Stay comfortable, but not rigid. And I want you to bring to mind someone, a family member, a friend, what we would call a neutral person, or maybe even someone you would simply like to have a greater awareness of, a fellow human being just like you. And as you close your eyes and see this person in your mind, repeat the following phrases, and I'll refer to them simply as this person, and you can fill in as you see fit. This person has a body and a mind, just like me. This person has feelings, thoughts, and emotions, just like me. This person has, during his or her life, experienced physical and emotional pain and suffering, just like me. This person has at some point been sad, just like me. This person has been disappointed in life, just like me. This person has sometimes been angry, just like me. This person has been hurt by others, just like me. This person has felt unworthy or inadequate at times, just like me. This person worries, just like me. This person is frightened sometimes, just like me. This person will die, just like me. This person has longed for friendship, just like me. This person is learning about life. This person wants to be caring and kind to others. This person wants to be content with what life has given, just like me. This person wishes to be free from pain and suffering, just like me. This person wishes to be happy, safe, strong, healthy, and loved, just like me. And now we allow some wishes for well-being to arise. I wish that you have the strength, resources, and social support to navigate the difficulties in your life with ease. I wish that you'll be free from pain and suffering. I wish that you'll be peaceful, and happy. I wish that you'll be loved because you are a fellow human being, just like me. And before you open your eyes, I invite you to give a bow of gratitude for this person that is just like you. Another state to consider is that of demeaning, that is, diminishing the happiness of others based on considering happiness as a limited resource. That is, the more someone else has, the less there is for me. I think about the theme from a television show I liked years ago. We're moving on up to the east side to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. I love the song and I enjoyed the show, but it points back to comparing and competing. While Sympathetic Joy says there's more than just one pie. There's a lot to go around. And then there's envy, where we cease to be centered within our own lives, but instead are perpetually out of balance as we lean into the lives of others, regretting their happiness, real or imagined. And envy is often based on illusion. And practices like the just like me exercise that we just did are tremendous antidotes for the illusion of envy. So let's look at some of the qualities that support mudita. Rapture, gratitude, metta, compassion, and what I like to call a genuine fascination with the joy of having a human life. Could have been different. These are all potential resources to reduce suffering and bring happiness. So what makes your heart sing? What makes you smile? What gives you joy? What are you grateful for? The phrase count your blessings may seem like a sentimental cliche, but there's wisdom in it, to the point that the Buddha specifically labeled many of these in a discourse called the Mangala Sutta. Mangala meaning blessing in Pali. So this third of the four Brahma Viharas aligns with compassion and metta to form a powerful embrace of bonding and support. The three of them are benevolent allies that add richness and joy and allow us to potentially enter into a life of equanimity and balance, which will be discussed next week. I'll end with a story. Novelist John Irving wrote a book in 1985 that was later turned into a movie in 1999, The Cider House Rules. The film was set in Maine in the pre- and post-World War II era about a young man who grows up in an orphanage under the guidance of a physician who also serves as the headmaster of the orphanage. Okay, I'm seeing on here and I'm seeing out there, some of you know the Cider House Rules. The primary focus is of the coming of age story of the young man. But an important secondary plot centers around the adoption stories of several of the children and how the doctor helps the children cope with the process of being viewed by some potential parents, but then not picked to go home with them. Once a child is picked, the child rushes to get its belongings, gives a hug or two to friends and staff, and bolts into the arms of their new mother, or if they're older, maybe even to the car. Those not picked are left to ponder why. Some sulk, some are angry, some crying, while others seemingly go into a quiet thought world of judgment, comparing, being envious, and other states as they gaze into the main sky and wonder if they will ever be picked. At night, on the days when a child has left, when the doctor is in the boys' dorm putting them to bed, he reads a chapter from a book, closes the book, and to acknowledge the event of the day, says the child's name, in this case, Curly, and utters, "Let us be happy for Curly. Curly has found a family. Good night, Curly." And the boys repeat, "Good night, Curly." And then the doctor says the words he says every night after he has turned out the lights. "Good night, you princes of Maine, you kings of New England." While the boys are left to ponder the events of the day, the seed has been planted to be happy for the happiness of others. Yes, there's suffering, but there's also joy. And just as we extend compassion to those who suffer, may we also learn to dance harmoniously as those experience joy.